just did it out of a T-shirt, a man's T-shirt, or no, it was actually my T-shirt. Anyway, this is you can see how it's got the mouth, and this is how I did it. I just um, I did it on my own. I didn't have a pattern, anything like that. I just figured out how big I wanted it, and so I did make myself a pattern, but you wouldn't have to. It just, so there it is like that, see? And so I just took the material, the T-shirt, and I, made it this type of a, see how and I cut a slit for the mouth, and then I took I made a round circle for the mouth, and I sewed it in there. Now this one I sewed on the sewing machine. You could do it by hand, but it would take a lot, so it depends what you have to work with, but you certainly could do it by hand. And then I've done so I took the mouth in the slit, and I made it, I sewed it in there. That was the most difficult thing to do, was to sew that in the slit that I made. So that when I now take this and turn it inside out, okay, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to put my hand up here, and there we go. We now have a puppet, and all we have to do now is stuff the head, and I made some hands, and Corrine certainly helped me with this, because you have to make them fairly large in order to be able to get the fingers and to get the stuffing inside the hand. So I just here is I just made a pattern out of brown paper, and I put it on top of the material, and then I sewed around the edge, and just where I made the thumb, and then all you do is then sew. You have to sew this by hand. You sew fingers in there, okay, and that makes your hand. So then all you have to do with this part is, let me get it up on my hand so you can see it better. Okay, so then all you have to do with this is cut a hole on the side where the arm would go, and then you put the arm in the puppet, okay? So or you could sew it in there. It would be better to sew it, make a hole, and then sew it in there, or you don't even have to make a hole if you just sew it on there. And then I made a body out of foam, but again, if you had fleecy material to give it some stiffness here, and then all I did was just take this piece of foam, and I glued it together, made the top a little more narrow than the bottom, and then all you do then is stick it inside this puppet. Okay. Okay, so you don't need a neck because your hand is going to be the neck, and then all you do is put your hand up in this, and then you have a body. Okay, and then you can just, like I said, put arms on it, and there you go. There you go. I got it on the wrong hand. Okay, and then you need to then stuff the top here. You can either make foam and make a round circle of foam, or again, you can stuff stuffing in it. So let's try that. Take the stuffing. Okay, and we're going to put it up inside the head. And I forgot, you need to put a tongue or okay. You could get away with just doing it like this. You know, you wouldn't necessarily have to put the cardboard in there, but I just find it's easier to manipulate the puppet, makes it a little stiffer, but not necessary. So you see how you've got a puppet, and I made the mouth quite big. I probably should have made it smaller, but hey. And then you just put in whatever you want, the eyes again, and a nose if you want, and then you add the hair. So, you know, again, you just, you know, make it a boy or a girl puppet. So that is another way to make a puppet that is not a sock puppet. It's a little bigger puppet, and you can make them as big as you like. But again, I think I made the mouth too big, but I think if I put the cardboard in, and again, you'd have to put the mouth in before you put anything else in, because, you know, you have to glue it, so, and you'd have to do it inside out. But let's just see how this would work, how much better it'll work with a cardboard in it. Okay, gotta get my fingers in there. Okay, so let's just have a look here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. I think if it was glued down, it might not be quite as big, the mouth. Okay, so that's basically how you make puppets, okay? And they're very easy. Like, you can make them in no time at all, and if you have somebody that sews and has a sewing machine, then hey, you know, you can make a little more professional puppet. I have, I've got a puppet on my website, a more professional puppet, the pattern for it. It's the pattern that I did for my puppets, my little black puppet and my other puppets, so they're quite large. So if you have large groups, like if you have 100 or more kids, then you want them to be big enough for all the kids to see. So you could make a puppet that's, you know, from the pattern that I have there. But like I said, it's a little more professional, a little more work, and you need lots of foam. So it just depends what you have to work with. But you can just use any kind of materials, scraps materials and things like that, and be creative, you know, make funny, I mean, these type of puppets are fun, you know, like they, you know, when they come out, they look funny, you know, this one looks funny, so, you know, they like silliness, you know, and so, you know, you could, you know, these ones are just as effective as ones that look more real, you know, but if you're, you know, if you're wanting, you know, a girl or a boy, that's how you'd make them. But if you just want a fun puppet for the kids, then this is the kind here. And if you don't have the foam balls, because they're not always the easiest to find, then you can just use, where I thought I had one here. You can just take your yarn and make, you know, a tight little ball. I'm sure a lot of you know how to make those. Okay, there's one there. And you can just use a white yarn, make a little fluff ball, and then put, you know, the marker, and just make the eyeball on there, or a little piece of felt on a white ball like this would make an eye. So again, those are just lots of different ways to make puppets, and so be creative. And if I was putting foam in the mouths, I would have the top foam, I would attach it to the cardboard mouth. I'll just kind of show you that. I think we have time. Okay, so there's the mouth, and so this I would glue. You have to turn it around to where, you know, you're gluing the side here to the top of this here, and you're going to go all the way around and glue it and so that it's puffed up like that, and that way you have a place to put your fingers as well on the top, like so, and then your fingers would go in there. And then a little strip for the bottom, so that it's got a little bit of a, something underneath the mouth. Okay, so that's basically how you make a puppet. Very simple and very easy, and I know that all of you can do that. And again, I encourage you to try them, try the ventriloquism, practice yourself. But if you're able to have a puppet stage, and you're able to have people that will help you, it's a wonderful way to get workers, to help you. Like teenagers, they love getting involved. And so you could get a puppet team together, work together, and do a presentation in front of the children behind a puppet stage. But again, sometimes you don't have that luxury to have a bunch of workers to help you. So if you do ventriloquism, then like I said, you can just use the little box and have a little puppet come out and you do the talking, or else he talks into your ear and you tell them what the puppet is saying.